Hi, I want to thank you for having the courage to give our animatronic software and hardware a try. The purpose of this video is to step you through the things you need to do to get the software loaded and get an animation file and audio loaded onto the Raspberry Pi Pico. Before we do that though, I would like to say you do need to be part of the dial out group on your Linux system, and I'm not really qualified to explain to you how to do that. There's some really nice instructions online. Just Google dial out on Linux with the name of your Linux version. It will step you through the process of setting it up. It is very important because you can't communicate with the Pico without being part of the dial out group. To download our software and get started, you're going to open a web browser and you're going to go to github.com/1031-systems/1031_delivery. On the right side, you see a little button called Latest. You click that and it will take you to the page that has the most current version of the Hauntimator software on it. So you click that, and that downloads the entire package you need to run Hauntimator onto your computer. So that's all we really need to do online. Next, we're going to open the file manager, and we're going to the downloads folder. Now, this is strictly a personal preference. I don't like running the Animator software in anything other than the 1031 Hauntimator directory, which I've put in my home directory. So all I'm going to do is click that zip box and edit and move that to my home directory because that's where I want this software to be. Now, just right-click on the Hauntimator zip file, and it's going to extract it here. This is, like I said, this is a personal preference. You can put it in another subdirectory if you want, but I'm going to run it right from here. And you can see we've created a folder called 1031_Hauntimator. So we close the file manager and open the terminal window. And the first thing we're going to do is see what the directories are under our home directory. And there's a directory called 1031_Hauntimator. So we're going to change directories to the 1031 Hauntimator directory. And in there is a command file called install. So we're going to run that command file by doing /install. Now, if you get an error message while you're executing this, it will have an explanation for how to set up your virtual environment correctly to run Hauntimator, and it will tell you what you need to do. And I like the icons, so I'm going to say yes here. So it's now installed everything from the Hauntimator software that you need to run both on the Linux system and the Raspberry Pi Pico. So first we're going to clear the screen because it's gotten kind of cluttered. And then we're going to go and see what the files are under this directory. And you can see one in there called Pico, which is another directory. So we're going to change directories to Pico. And once we're in the Pico directory, we're going to do ls again and see another directory called lib. Now, we're going to go to the live directory, and in there is a file called tabledefs_template. The tabledefs file is very important because it maps the software channels onto the hardware. So we're going to copy the tabledefs template file using the Linux copy command. We're going to do cp, which is copy source to destination. You really want to go back at some point and read the tabledefs file in case you want to make any changes to how it's currently configured. So you can use any editor that will let you save in just a text file to do that. So typos do exist. Now we're going to go back up into the Pico directory, and we're going to run a command file called do install, and this will load all the software that the Raspberry Pi Pico needs to run the animations. So it's this /do_install. Now, if you get any error messages while this is happening, it's because you're probably not part of the dial-out group. So just go back and put yourself in the dial-out group and it will all be fine. And the other thing to keep in mind is you really don't need an animator board to test this. Any Raspberry Pi Pico with a MicroPython on it, you can run that to this. Of course, you can't do much, but it does let you know the software is working. So now it's going to go in and verify that all the software the Raspberry Pi Pico needs loaded correctly. And then we're done with the terminal window and we're going to close it. So you close the terminal window and you'll see two icons on your desktop with the little gears, and you're doing, and yes, we're going to double click those icons and you're going to mark them as trusted, and you get the pretty little icon. And we're not going to use the joysticking in this video, but I'm going to put the icon up anyway. So we're going to double click on Hauntimator. It's going to open a terminal window in the background, which we don't use. It's just part of the environment. You can ignore it and just open the Hauntimator screen. So first we load an audio file, and I have an animations directory, and I'm going to load. It's called Wilhelm Scream. It's very famous. You should Google it and see what it is. So first I'm going to create a digital channel. I'm going to name it LED 0. And I'm going to use a space, which is a delimiter, because the digital channels labels have 2 lines, and I'm going to label it D0 because that's where I'm going to map it to. Now, it's currently really unassigned, and you have to go to the that pull down and map it to D0 and save it. So what we want to do is we want the LED off at the beginning. So I'm going to shift click and install a knot. And then I'm going to go, when the screen starts, I want to turn the LED on. And then when the screen stops, I want to turn the LED off. So shift click to put another knot in. And now we're going to open a channel. We're going to make a servo channel, but you can see it's really called a PWM channel, which is the same thing. Servos are just PWM devices. I'm going to call it the jaw, because the jaw is going to open when the scream is going on. Standard 180 degree servo. We're going to use linear interpolation and assign it to servo channel S0. So this is showing how it actually mapped table def. So this is how Hauntimator maps into the Pico pins. In real life, you would set a max and min using the interactive tab, but we're not going to do that. So we're going to save this, and I'm going to shift click and make sure the jaw is firmly closed and put a knot in. And I'm going to open the jaw when the scream starts. So, and then there goes the mouth full open during the scream. And then we're going to close the jaw when the scream stops. The Hauntimator software will generate all the servo positions at 50 Hertz during the scream. And then we're just going to keep it closed. And another shift click, and that's it. And now an animation has been completed. So we're going to go save the animation file. And I'm going to save it in my animations folder under test. And you can see I already did this more than once. So I've been playing with this a while, so I'm just going to save it. Now we're going to export the audio into the Raspberry Pi Pico, the SD card. And this is really a slow process, so I actually did a 5-minute one once. It took about 15 minutes to load, so just be warned. And now we're going to upload the servo and digital channels to the controller. And this is going to happen so quickly, you're actually not going to get the process bar. But there, you've now created an animation, and you're all set to go. So have fun with this. And again, you can do this without the animator board. You just need a Raspberry Pi Pico with MicroPython loaded. And the software does a lot.